Greetings to the world, greetings to the universe. What's going on, everybody? This is episode 82, the 82nd episode of the Real Resilience Talk podcast, where we talk about the subject of resilience, how to push through things, what's worked for people, what's can work for people, and just how can we live to our best potential, to our full potential. I am joined today with a really cool guy, a servant to the veteran community and any of the communities that are dealing with things. I got on this show today with y'all, Mr. Charley Johnson of the Mental Wellness Labs. Give it up for Mr. Charley, everybody.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. I want to say some ground rules to everybody out there listening, because I got to say it every episode. We're not doctors. We're not lawyers. We're not politicians. We just human beings, Americans, speaking from our point of view, our perspective, and we want to use our First Amendment for good. So that's why this show exists. So, Charley, I thank you for making time for us, man. And I'm so eager to hear what you're out there doing, man, and helping out the veteran community. And if you don't mind, I always ask this question first to everybody: what's your background, and then what is resilience to you, my friend?
My background is born and raised in Utah. Everyone hears Utah, they think of religion. I wasn't. I wasn't Mormon. I wasn't atheist. I wasn't Catholic. I was just a blank slate. I didn't do well as a kid, so as soon as I was old enough to work, I got involved with the business. I loved being around adults. I loved being around executives. I guess I brought some of that shit with me in a past life, because as soon as I started in, I just loved it. I knew things I shouldn't have known. I'd never had an education. I didn't go to college. So got into business, left the first business, and then jumped to the complete extreme from capitalism to nonprofit world. Do you remember the book and the movie The Pay It Forward?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I ran that foundation across the globe for about 6 or
wow.
7 years.
Wow.
And
Well, thank you for
was
that.
fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. But then I crossed paths with an old dude in the sauna. If I was sitting, he was standing. I had clothes on. He was naked. So my eye level.
Hell of a way to meet somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. He looked at me and said, "I feel like I've known you from a past life."
What?
I'd never heard that phrase before. But his name is actually Dick. So it was a perfect So it was a match made in heaven. But he just started talking to me about the craziest shit. I'd never heard of it, but everything he was telling me made sense. Meditation, breath work, consciousness, quantum, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And everything he was telling me, it wasn't as if I was being taught for the first time. It was like a remembering. And that got me into understanding the universe, understanding that that spooky magic that Einstein and Tesla talked about. It's nothing spooky about it. So that's my background. Very well versed in business, nonprofit, but also consciousness, quantum, everything else. As far as resilience, that is a topic that I feel like an infant talking about or giving advice on that, because I feel like that's an ongoing process. I think the resilience is just not giving up.
There you go.
And you know what? And I, honestly, some days I have no clue how myself and many others on this globe don't give up. I really don't. It's incredible how much pain and trauma is coming up through the collective right now, and everyone is experiencing it. So the people who are still left on this planet, I mean, everyone's got incredible amounts of resilience right now.
Wow, I just got to take a moment and just let that marinate and cook in my head for a second while I run my fat mouth, because that is one of the most humble answers and real answers I've ever heard on this show, to say that I feel like an infant in that, which can't be true because you're where you are, but the humility that you have, but also to acknowledge that, yeah, some pretty rough times right now, and everyone's being resilient. And like you said, you keep moving on, you keep moving forward, you don't give up. But to acknowledge how hard it is sometimes not to give up is real. And I just say thank you.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's deep right there. So, I mean, you said quantum and meditation and consciousness and going from one polar of capitalism to the nonprofit world. I know you had to stay resilient in that.
Well, so, I mean, that's what we do as humans, right? If we had a negative experience with religion, what happens? We become atheist. If we're an atheist and we have some out-of-body experience that is something we can't explain with the logical mind, we become religious. Heads and tails of the same coin. So Republican, Democrat, Catholic, atheist, right, wrong, right? Understanding consciousness and understanding what you and I will probably talk about in this episode. We've got to get past that.
Yes.
The division we've created on this planet is the most acute and the most intense it's ever been. Thus, look at the world. Look
Hmm.
what's going on in the Middle East. Look what Epstein, everything. All that stuff's coming up. All that clarity, all the truth is coming up. So with the meditation, understanding the capitalism, understanding nonprofit, understanding all the religions, understanding the spirituality, understanding that religion and spirituality, neither of them are better than each other, right? Because you have
Hmm.
a lot of people who leave religion and they become spiritual and they say they're better. No, right? There's incredible amounts of ignorance on both sides of any argument.
Yes.
And it's very difficult for how we've been conditioned because we've been conditioned by those we love and trust and respect to choose a side. If you don't choose a side, you are, I don't know, if you don't choose a side, something's wrong. Now,
Hmm.
I understand standing up to evil, but the interesting thing is now there's severe evil, Epstein, all that shit. I'm talking about everyday stuff like what's evil to an atheist is not evil to a Catholic and vice versa.
Right. Right. Right.
So we fight each other and argue and do a lot of shit on principle that means nothing to the other side. Zero. And we are just getting our ass handed to us by the very select small group of individuals that control this planet because the house divided. So I understand picking a side. I understand Republican, Democrat. I understand voting. I understand all that stuff. But I don't participate. And until more people don't, every time you choose a side, you create division. The 85-year-old lady up the street who's the nicest lady in the world, she's super Catholic and gives you lemonade every week and loves your kids and everything else. She's still choosing sides. That division still creates those choices still create division on this planet. That's a very difficult topic because that's all we know. But like I said, growing up like I did with no constructs, no things that needed to be ripped out of me, no religion, no spirituality, it allowed me to participate in all sides, both sides, and not get stuck.
Mm.
Kept
Yeah.
me neutral.
Yeah. No, I think that's solid. Like, it, I don't know. They have the cognitive distortions, and I'm probably guilty of all of them at different points, especially just the way I am and my raising and who the choices I've made. But I do know a cognitive distortion is that all or nothing or that black and white thinking or that us versus them. When the older I get, the more I realize it's more of what I think you're describing is more of a gray. And and then you come to find out, at least I have, that sometimes when you do choose a certain thing, it's out of convenience for you. Or this week, that I watched the Nuremberg movie, right, with Russell
Hmm.
Crowe, and
Hmm.
it was a great film. And then I was such a nerd about it, I went and watched the other documentaries on the Nuremberg trial, and you just see how you know people can be consumed with something that we all can agree was evil, but you go along with it because it's potentially convenient,
Hmm.
or you just choose not to see because you're not the one actually, dumping the gas into the chamber, or you're not,
Hmm.
or you didn't even know of it. But like you said, that the ignorance. I know I just
Well,
went really dark there, but that's kind of
no,
what was
no,
flowing
no,
through
no, no,
my
no.
mind.
No, that's not dark. Well, you wouldn't have the light without the dark, right? That's a part of this process right now. Everything happening on this planet is clarity. Everything. There's no hiding anymore. There's no suppressing. There's no lying to ourselves. There's no denying anything. There's no more conspiracies. None of that bullshit's conspiracy. It's all fucking fact. We all know it.
Hmm.
Well, we don't all know it. There was a few
Right.
that got their ass kicked the last couple of decades talking about it. Everyone called them crazy. They're not crazy. We're not crazy. That's the great thing about what's happening right now. It's like that, the image behind me. Usually I have my screen blurred. The world has been for thousands of years been looking through the screen blurry. They couldn't tell if it's a tree or, a roof or something. The natural shift of consciousness on this planet is clearing that up. Oh, now it's a tree. Oh, that's a roof. Oh, that's a bird. That's a dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't lie about anything anymore. It's great. It's beautiful.
And there's more eyes too, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
I've held that. a long time that, none of this stuff is really new. They'll say, oh, these days, and the comedian Aziz Ansari had a funny bit about it. He asked the crowd, he said, hey, the shit's really hit the fan, right? And they're like, yeah, and everybody gets riled up, and he's like, hey, there's never really been a shitless fan in the history of,
No.
America or the world. There's always been some shit on it. It's just, you don't know what you don't know. And that's that ignorance. But now there's more sets of eyes on it, more people than ever before. And we also have ways to document, record, and kind of call bullshit.
Yep. It's
That's
a beautiful
real.
thing, man. There's a lot going on. Actually, it's too much
Clarity.
going on.
Yes.
Too much. Our
Yes.
nervous systems are taxed, thus everyone losing their shit right now.
Right. And you know what? That's a solid point too, because when you talk about consciousness and you talk about, meditation and clarity, I've said this before too, and I'm not trying to say I'm so smart, but the realization I've come to is that there's more than one way to burn the books. You can either burn the books, or I can throw so many damn books at you, you don't even know which one is which. And
100%.
that's kind of where we're at.
That's what they hide behind. They hide behind saying, hey, we're not taking anything from you. You have access to everything you want. Well, if you have a million options and you're stuck in the middle, there's gonna be basic paralysis. You're not gonna make an option. You're not gonna choose a choice.
That's
You're
right.
not gonna choose a book. If there's a million ways to meditate and 95% of them are wrong, you don't know,
You don't know.
because one person, you don't know. It's like everything coming out with disclosure and everything else on this planet. They're very simply put, both sides have incredibly intelligent, educated, very charismatic men and women of all
Mm-hmm.
colors, of all races, of all genders, everything. Both fucking sides. So who is right?
Yeah,
This
that's
is
a big one.
this is exactly where they want us. This is exactly where they want us. But this is not like times in the past, because the shift of consciousness on this planet has never, ever, ever been seen before, and they can't stop it because it has nothing to do with you and I. We participated in meditation and breath work and EMDR and PTSD, all that stuff that we needed to work with vets and everything else, right? We are terrible at fixing things. We are our own worst enemy. Right? So what's happening now is the greatest shift, the greatest healing, the greatest upheaval, because everything needs to be brought up to be let go. We want to set sail to a better ocean. You can't have all those fucking anchors dragging you down. When you're 4 years old, you don't need a teacher. You don't need a guide. You don't need to meditate. You don't need some type of therapy to get to 5 years old. You just need time. You need 365 days. We're at about day 363 right now with 8 billion people. We can still do therapy. We can still do meditation. We can still do breath work, because in the moment it helps us. But the most powerful thing, you, me, and everyone watching 8 billion people on this planet, is this shift will not be like wars. It will not be like the Great Depression. It will not be like 2008. It won't be like 1999. It won't be like 1770s. It won't be anything like that. Such a shift of clarity happened on this planet, never seen before, and it's a beautiful thing. But to get to that beauty, you and I and everyone watching gets to see the fucking chaos that has to be released.
You said it earlier. I mean, you can't have the light without the darkness.
No. And we have to integrate both, right? We can't lie about either.
That's solid. Yeah, this is why we do this show, because these are the conversations that need to be had and the awareness needs to be raised. How does that tie into, because I know you help serve the veteran community well, I guess helping them, like what are some ways that you do that with mental wellness labs? And
So this was accidental. I have, I'll give you a good story. Our youngest started getting really good at soccer, and I played back in the day, but I played soccer when it wasn't cool. So I quit in high school, played every sport
when
but
it
it.
wasn't cool,
Yeah.
that's real.
Yeah. So because I was too insecure with myself to say I was a good soccer player. Well, when I got older, about 4 years ago, I wanted to start playing again because the 10-year-old was getting really good. And I crossed paths with a person I knew, and I said, I really wish adults could play soccer. She's like, what are you talking about? She's like, come meet my husband. The adult leagues are all over the place. They got hundreds of teams and everything else. Anyways, I started playing soccer with these teams, and we do indoor and outdoor, everything else. Well, there's a couple guys on our team, ex-vets, every single week. I mean, without fail. And we're an incredibly close group of people. These guys have known each other a lot longer than I have. I mean, decades. Every week, one or two of these guys, and they're both vets, would fight someone. They just couldn't help it. They just could. They had such anger issues. That's just how they were built. I crossed paths with my partner about 5 months ago at Mental Wellness Labs, and we'll get into the details of that. Just long story short, just to kind of start at the end, we put them on our quantum machine. They haven't fought anyone for 3 months. So that sounds incredible to your listeners, right? So this is what happens. And this is where I need your listeners to please check out logically. This is not going to make sense. So the 2025 Nobel Prize for physics was quantum tunneling. Okay, this is science. This is all backed up. This is no bullshit. This is no woo. There's no spirituality. There's no faith in this. There's no believing in this. This is legit. Quantum entanglement. I knew of other companies that have consciousness machines, and they create a consciousness field around a home or an individual or a car or a cell phone, and you can feel it. You absolutely can feel it. But once you come off the machine, and it's all remote, you can feel coming off it as well. Okay. It's a decent sized machine. It's plugged into electricity. It's typical stuff. It's in the grid. Like our laptops right now need electricity. My partner crossed paths with me because he saw consciousness in my LinkedIn profile. And he thought, oh, this guy's going to love what I'm doing. I was like, cool. So he reached out to me and said, this is what I do. And I said, okay, so you have a machine. Can you broadcast? Can you do this remotely? No patches, no physical. Can you do this remotely? Because that's what the other companies do. And it's just so interesting that prior to that, I actually reached out to these two other companies, great people, to try and work with them because I knew how this technology would change the world. And they kind of got back to me, but they don't need me, right? But anyways. So randomly, how the universe works, because the energy was put there, this guy reached out with the same thing, a better thing. And I said, can you broadcast this? And he said, sure, I can do that. I said, what do you need to do that? How do we test this? To put someone on this quantum machine, which, by the way, is not plugged into the grid. There's no electricity. So it's as clean as it gets. There's no, exactly. So please, your logical mind has to check out.
Yeah. This
is not new technology. This is something that Tesla played around with in the early 1900s before he passed away and it got suppressed. Just read into that for good reason. Kind of like I think it was JP Morgan looked at him and said, where do I put the meter for free electricity? He's like, oh, well, I guess you're going to lose your funding. But these machines are nothing new. There's quite a few people on the planet that have them. But the people who have them are the people who are very spiritual. And they probably left the capitalist world behind because they got screwed over. So they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So they never want to scale it. They never want to make money off it. But they'll take an autistic kid who's never spoke, and he speaks for the first time in 8 years.
With the machine.
Yeah, they will do incredible things. And then they'll have one-offs with friends and family and kids and neighbors and strangers, and then they just go back to their own life. They don't know how to scale something. Maybe they didn't understand business. Maybe they think scaling a business is evil. Maybe they think making money off it's evil because of what they came from, right? A Catholic gets let down by Jesus, they become an atheist. They go from one. So we started testing this, and a few of the guys I played soccer with, I put them on it. Now, with this machine, and again, logical mind check out, you don't need an app. You don't need the physical machine. You don't need to be next to it. I don't need to send you a wearable. You don't need to download anything. You don't need to meditate. You don't need pills. You don't need to set up an appointment. You don't need to close your eyes. All you have to do is give me your headshot, your date of birth, the city you're living in, and your full name. Those 4 identifiers in the quantum field separate you from the other 8 billion people. Okay? We put you on the machine, put you on the plate. The machine, I'm going to say it for a third time, logical mind, check out. The machine interacts with the photons in the photo, which are the same photons in your physical body. Okay? Okay, again, quantum entanglement, everything. You're going to get the same results standing next to the machine or if you were on Mars or on the moon. Everything's connected. So you don't need anything. There is a physical machine my partner has. It's like a frequency modulator, right? And we can put one person on it or we can put 10,000 people on it. It uses scalar wave technology. Scalar waves are faster than the speed of light. And they are the one unique, I don't know if they're the only one, but they're one of the unique waves that most waves, as they get further out, they get weaker Scalar waves actually get stronger the further they get out. They actually build. Okay, so faster than the speed of light. So when we turn this machine on some people, they'll feel it turn on if they're
From
sensitive,
wherever they're at to
from
wherever.
wherever they're at. Okay. So I knew this was possible because, again, how I grew up with that spiritual teacher with Dick, spiritual Dick that I met in the
That
sauna.
spiritual
Yeah.
dick in the sauna. Yeah.
Truly, his name's Dick Birch. He's still alive. He's 95 years old.
I love it. Shout out Dick Birch.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I got to go to lunch with him. So I understood consciousness. I understood quantum. I've seen people levitate. I've seen crazy things, but I had nothing in my mind that said what I'm looking at is wrong or I'm hallucinating or that's the devil. So I had nothing to shut me down. So every time I saw someone heal, every time I saw someone do something crazy, which with what's going on, what we talked about 10 minutes ago, it's going to become more relevant. People are going to see it more naturally. It's going to be how the world heals. Nothing about this made me say this is bullshit. But I wanted to see. So we started putting friends and family on it. I put those two guys I play soccer with. And 2 weeks in, I remember one of them looking at me and I was like, hey man, how you feeling? Because most people, it takes a little while for them to like understand that they're changing because they've got decades of telling themselves a story. He's like, man, I'm cool as a cucumber. I was like, huh, cool. And then we started putting, there was a wife of another guy I played soccer with who was very scared about her son. He was suicidal. Been that way for months, if not years. I was like, hey, do you mind if we test this out? And let me make this very clear. There are no side effects, zero downside. My partner's done this for over a decade and hasn't even had someone come back with a headache. There's no way for anything negative to come because of the remedy we're pushing. The frequency we're pushing is good. I said, do you mind if we put your kid on it and just it may not work, but you've tried everything, right? You've done the therapy, you've done the drugs, you've sent them off to some private school that's meant for kids, and it's just horrible shit. She's like, yeah, go ahead. I think day 6, he comes down to breakfast in a decent mood, made his bed for the first time in years, and she said he was good. So Tesla and Einstein said everything's a frequency. PTSD is a frequency. Depression is a frequency. Anxiety is a frequency. Happy is a frequency. Negative sadness is a frequency. Every emotion's a frequency. You and I are a frequency. This fucking computer's a frequency. Wi-Fi is a frequency, right? That's all it is. And we take it for granted because a lot of stuff that is spoken about in the spiritual world, or maybe with veterans, or maybe with athletes, or maybe with suicidal ideation, with like suicide prevention organizations. If someone comes to you and says it's all frequency, just think positive thoughts and go listen to 432 hertz on your headphones for 8 hours a day and nothing happens, nothing changes. Well, yeah, then everyone's going to say it's bullshit. But if you have a pure, truly non-plugged into the grid Tesla machine that is tapped into the quantum field, into the 0 point, is infinite, has no limits, is specifically set up the correct way by someone who understands what they're doing. You have a machine that is doing everything that those people said that frequencies could do. They just didn't have the hardware. They didn't have the understanding. They didn't use it correctly. That's it. Everyone knows how a plane flies, right? Aerodynamics, right? That's all we got. We get on a plane. It's got a million parts. I don't really understand, but I trust it's going to fly. Well, okay, cool. That billions of people get on a plane, but there's only a few pilots. This machine, and to the logical mind that says, well, how can I give you those 4 identifiers and get rid of years of trauma? How does it get to me? What is going on? Do I need to close them? Do I get, like, even as they listen to this, they're going to ask the same question that your mind's saying, where is the machine? Do you ship it to me? How many times a day do I do this? How many sessions do I do this? What do I have to do? What app? Even after telling them there's nothing, I still have people come back and say, I still haven't downloaded the app, man. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? No. But this is the perfect example. You and I are working on laptops right now. There isn't a single laptop on this planet that has anywhere near the capacity, let's say 1,000 terabytes, to download every piece of human knowledge possible. Yet, Wi-Fi is natural. And if I say Wi-Fi, I was like, oh yeah, I use it every day. We take that for granted. Basically, what's happening in the ether, in this invisible thing around my laptop, every piece of human knowledge is waiting for me to type a specific .com or a question into Google. Right there.
You're at it. Yeah.
You're right there. That's quantum. That's consciousness. That's everything being connected. That's religious and spiritual people saying it's all one. Everything. We take this for granted. Billions of people have this. If I dial a single number on here, it's going to go immediately to that person. Oh, it's radio waves. Oh my God, man. But Wi-Fi, that's what we're doing. My computer has a specific IP address. Okay. My phone has an IP address. We all take that for granted. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Charlie. You have an IP address. The IP address is your picture, your date of birth, your city
Those
you're
four
living in, your
things.
full name, those four
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
in the quantum field. So they say, how does that get to me? Scalar wave technology, your IP address with those four things. I'm not asking for your firstborn blood or your social security number.
Yeah, what's your mother's maiden name?
Exactly. Shit like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And everything. But just think about that. Wi-Fi, everything in human history is literally at the brink of the edge of my laptop waiting for me to Google it, to search it, to ask for it. Your IP address, we only need the four things, your IP address. We push that specific remedy that helps shift your baseline, shift your frequency, shift your clarity right then and there as soon as we turn the machine on. That's how it works. And we saw it time and time again with suicidal ideation, with PTSD, with depression, with anxiety. We even saw it with business owners. They would have spent like the last year trying to raise funds, and then all of a sudden, 3 days in, it clicks. Now their question is, well, what about all that work I did? So is it really the machine, or is it all the work I did? You probably would have kept doing the work for another couple months, 15 months, 18 months, because you were doing the same thing. It shifts your frequency. So it is the work. It's the spiritual work. It's the investors it's everything. It's a combination. Without the machine, without the remedy, without this help, you probably would have kept spinning your wheels, because we're really good at getting in our own way. Spiritual people who have abilities, who talk to their higher self, who read the Akashic records, who are psychic, who do Reiki, who do some type of healing, their abilities just skyrocket. So on both extreme ends, with business guys, we even have an athletic one for people to see clarity on the field, on the court. All this is doing, and we made it accessible to everyone. It's just a simple Netflix subscription every month. We have a 2-week free trial. We just let people see it. You don't have to understand it. There's no downsides. There's no side effects. But the reason I cross paths with you is because when it comes to the large veteran organizations that constantly bombard me and tell me every day that 22 veterans lose their lives to suicide.
Probably more than that.
I know it's like 6,000 a year, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I contact them and say, I've got a very safe, no side effect, won't hurt anybody. Why don't you test it out type of thing? They don't get back to me. But yet they're continuously telling me how much they care about reducing that rate. And I know they do. But we have got to let go of the old paradigm. The old paradigm created 22 veterans committing suicide every day. The old paradigm what does Einstein say? The same mind that creates a problem cannot solve it. So I very much am appreciative of individuals like you who are allowing this message to get out, because if it's 1 or it's 2 or if it's 10 or if it's 100, but then I know the veteran community just because of my buddies. Those motherfuckers tell everyone they know when it comes to the veteran, because they go through struggles. And they've done a half a dozen other things for years and they didn't do shit. Some of it works, but this is just 24/7 support all day, every day, just pushing out a good frequency. Helps with the PTSD, helps with depression, helps with the spouse, helps with the kids, helps with the job. It literally is shifting your frequency to the point where you see the world in a different light, in a better way.
So, wow, that's just, I mean, it's like a new enlightenment phase that we're going through to what you're describing. That's what it reminds me of. And I just wonder, why some people wouldn't get into it is maybe because, I mean, you said it's a Netflix subscription fee, but a lot of times it's like follow the money, right? With a lot of things in our, modern times. It's, I mean, not even in our modern time. You go back in the history books and you can go back and go, oh, follow the money. That was why this conflict happened, or this or that, or whatever the case is. And I'm not trying to get all into modern policy, but my point being is that how much profit can be in something of this nature. And if you do remedy problems, well, there's no more problems to solve, and that's usually a problem with people who want to make more money off the problems.
Which I completely agree with, and upsets me even more. And that's part of this shift of disclosure and clarity, because everyone's starting to see the true intention of these smiling faces on LinkedIn and around the world saying, I care. Okay, I know you do to a certain extent, but who's funding you? What if that's the other thing when I just have these discussions with them, I tell them we don't replace anything. Continue to do your curriculum to help people. Continue to help them through the process, especially if they're dialing 988. But this is just a support 24/7. So you can call it your broadcast. Don't even talk about mental wellness labs. Call it the suicide prevention broadcast.
Hmm.
Call it the VA broadcast. I don't give two shits. We don't need to be known.
But if the end state is helping people, that's what it is.
And if you're concerned about revenue, so you can make money for your nonprofit, or so you can fund the VA, cool. We'll give you a deep discount so you can just resell it. We don't give a shit, because the great thing about this machine and the way this works, and here's the incredible thing: you can do all these incredible things and these new 2-year studies and everything else. It's going to take time to roll out, and this pill works, but it's got a million different side effects, but it's going to take time, and we got to go to the school, and to get to 1 million people, it's going to take 3-4 years. We could put 1 million people on that machine. We can implement this anytime, anywhere, with anyone on the planet right now.
So you just
Anywhere.
say those 4 things.
We need those 4 things to sign up,
Yeah.
and then it's just a manual thing. We'll figure out the automation, but we'll just set it up, put them on the machine. We could put 1 person on the machine, or we could put 10,000.
Mm.
It's the most insane technology, and it works. And there's no downside. And even if you don't feel it, we have a lot of people come back and say, I don't think it's working, man. Okay. Well, why? I can't feel anything different. Cool. How's your sleep? Oh, yeah, it's working. We have a lot of things that were constructed to say, if I get on this machine and I listen to this lunatic Charley talk, I'm going to build an expectation that this is going to be the best thing I've ever done, and it's going to take everything away.
That's
No,
not
no,
that's
we have
not reasonable.
no,
Yeah.
we have a lot of people who are trying with us as a last ditch effort, because their depression's a 9 out of 10. They get on it, they feel better. The depression comes back 3 weeks, and they're like, hey, man, it's not working. What's your depression now? 5? That's a 50% decrease. That's pretty good, isn't it? Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, there's a lot of, that's why I appreciate you allowing this conversation to have, because
Yeah, for sure.
there's a lot of education. But the more people that get on this, it's just going to spread like wildfire. And then companies, you want to cut down on HR issues, you want to cut down on healthcare costs, you want to cut down on friction inside a company. If you're in a veteran community, you want to cut down on you and all your buddies being more calm, more centered, less divorce, less suicide. I'll guarantee that's what it does. And you don't have to do a thing. Give me those 4 things. You live life. You completely forget that it's on. Do a month subscription and test it out for free. Do 3 months. We even have people that created a lifetime subscription because they don't want to get off it. Why would you?
A big key in it is not just obviously the technology with it and those 4 identifiers, and we all have our own individual. I've said for years that I think our fingerprints are QR codes. Like it's nature's QR code on us, right? Because we're all as unique as that fingerprint. And this is for everybody out there listening, because first off, yes, I do give a platform for things like this, and I do share this, and I do welcome this conversation, because you know what, man? Like, I think our egos want like the Million Man March, be a Dr. King type thing of helping people. But really, if you just reach one person, then it's worth it. But why not try something different? But to the naysayers, because I can hear them in my head right now, what's the bad side, or that operator behind those modules? Can they, not saying they would ethically, but if they wanted to, could they tune you up in a bad way?
They're already doing it. Do you think we have something they don't have, the government doesn't have? Do you think they're not doing this at a grand fucking scale of billions of people, where they do it so subtly and make you just a little bit more miserable every year, every decade, more depressed, a little bit more overweight? Everyone's like, oh God, why is this happening? And we always point the finger at the politics and the money and the stress. And how the fuck do you think 8 billion people feel the same way? They're already doing this. Why do you think they suppressed this technology when Tesla passed away?
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just have massive machines using scalar wave technology there's no one on this planet you would never, ever be able to point a finger that that's what they're doing. Ever. So to the people who say that, like, well, what if you and your partner want to fuck with us? Okay. then don't do it. We're not going to do that. We understand the spiritual world, and we don't want to harm anybody, and just look at my past, look at pay it forward, look at everything else. But it's already happening. So if anything, how about you just let us help you counteract it?
Yeah, yeah. No, I dig it. I dig it a whole lot. And when I looked at it, one of the things I really liked of what you described is that this itself, it may not solve everything, but it's probably not going to make anything worse. And the metaphor in my head that I came up with was, with working out and supplements, right? You work out, you still got to lift weights, you still have to hydrate, you still have to sleep, as you described with the gentleman that had depression. But here's some creatine to maybe get the most out of it, or here's some turmeric or some type of something that will help you stay on track and dialed in to your best potential. So that's am I tracking? Am I smelling the right way?
100%. Now think about it just a little bit more, a little bit deeper, is because I'll have intelligent people who understand this come back and say, well, I don't want to build a dependency on the machine. I don't want to lose my sovereignty.
There you go. Okay.
That's fine.
Fair.
That's fine. Do you have a dependency on your meditation that you always tell me about, that you love to tell me how many times you meditate? Huh. Do you have a dependency on eating clean so you feel better? Do you have a dependency on drinking water? Do you have a dependency on sleeping? Do you have a depend? This machine is not plugged into the grid. This is as neutral as it gets. It doesn't give a shit who you are. It does not care. There's no dependency. It's literally like eating better. It's like you said, supplements. It's like working out. You stop smoking, whatever it is. This machine is not doing what our laptops and our cell phones are doing. It's not 7-second intervals and making you go crazy because it's addicting. There's nothing about it.
Because there's profit in that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just a frequency that's bringing you to a sense of clarity. That's all it is. So when you say dependency, we have a dependency on all of your spiritual practices. So and this one actually has nothing to do with you. If you don't meditate, you feel like you've lost your mind. If you don't eat clean one day, you become like depressed and you feel guilty. That's a severe dependency. You're going to forget this machine's even on. There's no dependency on that. Plus, it's permanent. It's not like the consciousness machines. It's not you just. That's why people want to just stay on it, because it constantly adapts with you. As you get better, it knows you get better through your photo, which again, check out on The Logical Mind. Okay. There's a reason why Native Americans never wanted their photo taken. You remember that? It was always the white man taking the photos.
But I also know there's like certain Amish communities that are still like that as well. Yeah.
So when they say you're taking a piece of my soul, it's not that anyone's taking a piece of your soul. It's that in the quantum field, that's how it works.
You're capturing those photons with your photograph, right?
Correct. You're in the physical realm. The physical realm includes everything, including the photo, including your thoughts, including all of that. And again, this all sounds insane, but 2025, just last year, the Nobel Prize was about quantum tunneling. This is all going to become very natural, very known. We're going to really understand our true history. We're going to really understand how much they've suppressed. And this machine is just going to be, it's a stabilizer in a very unstable time at its simplest form.
Yeah, no. I also want to ask too, so the person on the other end that's, configuring the controls, your partner, whomever it may be, that's, dialing you in, are they able to see, or, is there like a calibration where you're like, oh, Cam's way the fuck off right now. We need to dial this or that or whatever. And over time, like you said, it'll dial you in as to what's your best, like any kind of gauges and again, I know you said erase the logic because I know some of the stuff and a lot of stuff in spiritual isn't logical. I think what Bono said about grace, he was like, it defies logic. Like it just does. And there's a lot of things that are really helpful in life that do defy logic. So in saying that though, is there like a way, on the other end, the person controlling it to where it's like, Cam, he's a little off in this area today. Let's dial him up here. Or does it just do what it does?
So to keep it accessible, we built a very powerful remedy that is for everyone in a sense.
Gotcha.
So it's called Peak Mental Health, and it impacts and helps everyone. There's one for veterans specifically. We call it military grade PTSD. We have one for suicidal ideation. We have one for athletes. We have one for ADHD for the kids. And then we've got Peak, which is basically a combination of them all. So to pay $35 a month, you just have to keep that very simple in a sense. And I hate using that word because it kind of downgrades the power and profoundness of this remedy. There are machines out there that people use that cost you're going to pay 10 grand, 5 grand, 10 grand for specific things where they get like a drop of your blood or a toenail or a piece of hair. Maybe you've got stage 4 cancer and nothing else is working and you just want to try something. There are machines that do that, but that's only one customer for 2 weeks. And you really got to get into the details. We're not doing that. We wanted to make it accessible to the masses, because if the masses are all in 3rd grade and we can push and we can help them go to 4th or 5th grade collectively, that is massive. But when we really start to understand quantum technology, it's going to be really cool, but it's going to be terrifying, because there's also quantum machines out there that can literally pinpoint all 8 billion people where they're at right now. Yeah.
Does it
No
need the
self.
identifier first or
Nope.
just nope?
Nope.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yep.
I don't
No.
doubt that.
Nope. They have everything. They have all of this. And that's what disclosure is about. That's why it's like, oh, that's bullshit. Oh, the government wouldn't do it. No, this is all coming out. It's great. It's a great thing because it opens everyone's eyes up, and then it shows them that there is technologies to help them every single day. Work out, meditate, eat right, and then just have this in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I dig it. And I really am one that, if it comes down to someone contemplating suicide or contemplating what I'm seeing I'm seeing an uptick right now. God rest her soul, the nice lady that was it's sick, it's sad, but there's a tragedy in Fairfax where the former lieutenant governor murder suicide. There's been so many murder suicides lately. I don't know if like the media is just covering them more or whatever, but I've lost people to homicide, I've lost people to suicide as well. And there's an uptick in that. So if there's something to dial someone in to prevent that
It's
tragedy,
this 100% helps. And to your point, it's not the news covering it more. It's that we were at a breaking point before this massive shift of consciousness. When consciousness shifts and clarity comes about, everything that we've lied about, suppressed, and told ourselves we're okay, it comes so blazingly in our face that we can't handle it. So someone you thought was controlled and confident and successful, murder suicide, or they do something that is just not particularly normal with them. Our nervous systems can only handle so much. And I'll give you a great example. What's happening now is like taking a 3rd grader and saying, next year you're in 10th grade. You need to drive a car and have a girlfriend. A kid's going to get his ass kicked.
and I can't even reach the pedals.
Exactly. That's my point. Is this shift happening in this 5-year process is usually thousands and thousands and thousands of years of evolution, but it's being compacted to awaken people. So when you're seeing this severe uptick in suicide, severe uptick in people you thought were really centered losing their shit, our nervous systems can only handle so much. And the light coming into this planet is a really, really, really good thing. This utter chaos is showing us how close we are to an unbelievable breakthrough for humanity. But some people cannot handle it. And I completely fucking understand, because those thoughts have crossed my mind more than once. I completely understand that.
Same here. And you can go one or two ways. It's like keep going because you're almost there. They always say the people who are the most successful, like they were about to quit, but they just kept going, and then the big payoff came. And or there's people that turn into a straight nihilist and they lose faith in everything, and there's disillusionment, and they lose all hope in all things good, and they go and walk into an elementary school or a high school or whatever, fill in the blank, and hurt other people because they want their pain to end and everybody else to feel their pain.
Yes.
Kind of the difference between like the villain and the hero. Like the villain and all that, they all have shitty backstories. It's just the hero wants nobody else to feel that, and the villain wants the world to suffer for the pain they felt, etc., etc. But this, I don't know, it gives me hope what you're describing, because I know, and I've stood posts many a times in foreign places where the coldest part of the night was actually when the sun started to rise. That doesn't make sense, because you're like, no, the sun, but literally it gets colder. You can prove it. It happens.
Everything that made sense to us brought the world we see today. Okay? I'm not a fan. I'm not a fucking fan of the governments, of science, of all that stuff. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm asking that we get past the conditioning. Because at some point, science thought the world was flat. At some point, science said this. At some point, science said that, and we just keep calling it. So for anyone, like, just try this out. And We're not the only ones. Be open to the technologies coming about, especially if they're quantum, especially if you trust the people that say there's no side effects, because there's really not. Actually, there's absolutely not. But there's going to be a lot of technologies, a lot of healings, a lot of stuff coming out that's going to be for the human, not for the establishment.
Well, and that's where the friction points come, right? And that's what fears. That's my fear for holistic doctors, people like you. I mean, look how marijuana was demonized at
Hmm.
different times. Why? Oh, because that's a Native American type of
Hmm.
agricultural profit, and let's weed them out, literally, pun intended. And
Truly.
that's what happened. Let's demonize this or that or whatever the thing may be. Hey, we look at Galileo as, oh, what a genius. No, actually, he got killed, and so did Socrates. So many, great minds at the time. It wasn't popular then, but you become enlightened, and afterwards you're like, oh shit, it is round. Oh shit, like that was true.
Hmm.
But I also know to the spirit of what you said with Einstein, like the same outlook, the same approach that created the problem can't solve it. So closed mouth don't get fed, closed mind doesn't get fed either.
Nope. Agreed. No, I agreed. And it's even for the intelligent people that have a hard time trying this. To me, it reminds me of this is a unique thing, but it reminds me of UFO retrievals. And the very intelligent aerospace engineers were looking at these devices saying, where's the propulsion? Their 180 Stanford grad, NASA trained IQ and intelligence was based off of one thing: propulsion, fuel. So when they saw these, they had a very hard time reverse engineering these because that wasn't their paradigm. This is not about intelligence. This is not about education. This is not about right or wrong. It's about allowing yourself to go past the ignorance of thinking that what's new is wrong, what
Mhm.
is different is wrong. Just test it out, because then you're going to take the old paradigm with the new, and you're going to be really powerful. You're going to be really open. You can really do some great damage in the best of ways for humanity, because the individuals that were able to reverse engineer those crafts were not built off of propulsion. They weren't built by NASA. They weren't built by the American education. They were open minded, clear individuals who were intelligent and okay saying, shit, we may be wrong.
Mhm. Or this could also be right,
Yeah,
and
and this
that
could be
closed
right as
mind.
well. Exactly.
Yeah, but that
Good idea.
closed-mindedness that, for me, I've went through the paradigm of, or the myriad of different things to where, it's the flesh, or, it's evil, or it's, that's witchcraft, or, a lot of the things that we just take in stride now, just something as simple as SSRIs. If you'd have done that 200 years ago, you'd have been burned at the stake for such a thing, because you are literally evil, playing with people's minds and stuff. So I could definitely see there being resistance, not just, I'm saying from my experience, but there will not just be resistance in the form of, whether it's being tied into dogma. There'll be that, and then also profit. I mean, that's a fact, and when you see sometimes problems are created just to solve them, well, if I fix your car forever, well, are you going to come back to the maintenance shop? Probably
Hmm.
not,
Hmm.
or I can make the car so daggone complicated that I don't even know how to change an O2 sensor these days, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not that good mechanically anyways, but I do think there is a logic behind why we
Hmm.
have these problems. You think about cancer. I'm sure there's a cure somewhere, right? There's a remedy somewhere, but you know
Guaranteed.
what?
Guaranteed.
You know how many hospice centers, how many hospice nurses, how many, I mean, that's $1 trillion industry right there, just the subject of cancer. And I wish it wasn't like that, but that's a fact. And we just go along with it. And that's the real evil, right? So this right here, it's anyone out there. I mean, fuck it. I think I'm going to try it, because I'll try anything once just to see, just to try it out and say, okay, that wasn't for me. I want to ask this. Has anybody on your end or anyone within quantum, has anybody done like a placebo type study on somebody just to see?
Well, like we tell them the machine's on, but it's not, or vice versa.
Yeah, just to see, because sometimes you free your mind, your ass will follow type thing.
Yeah, if the person's super sensitive, we will mess with them. And beforehand, we'll say, hey, listen, do you mind if we test this out? And I want to know if you think the machine's on or off. And sometimes we'll say, okay, Genevieve, the machine's been on for a week. What'd you feel? Oh, I didn't feel shit. Well, good, because the machine wasn't on. Great, that's fine. So we have messed with them. The ones who can't feel it, though, the vast majority of people who would never feel it, they just all of a sudden are starting to get along with their kids or their wife, or their sleeping patterns are better, or maybe they quit smoking or stop porn or whatever. We can't do the placebo effect with them. No, and that's a very powerful thing, the placebo effect. But the point of this machine, the way, if you really even slightly dig into what quantum is and the Nobel Prize and how it works and how you're a part of it and how everything's a part of the quantum field, the machine cannot not work.
Mm.
It is, you can say it's snake oil, you can say it's bullshit, whatever you want. Oh, it didn't work for 2 weeks. I didn't feel any change. The worst ones for feeling, it's always working. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think there's so many times where, science will come out with something and it proves a lot of our ancient known things, like let's think about like things take time, right? Like you could eat a hot pocket out the microwave, but is that as good as some slow cooked food? Probably not, right? Or just the sense of what you're describing, which is we all know everything's interconnected. We know the mind, spirit, body, it's all connected. We all accept these things and it's being brought into our face and how humanity is all connected. So to me, it just proves what we already know for so long. You know what I mean?
Yes, completely
I don't
agree.
have the most eloquent way of saying it, but to me, it just makes sense based off of what we kind of already know, that it's all connected. It's all interwoven. We're all part of this big ecosystem that is humanity and the world for that matter, and the universe, and then you see that meme where it's like, there's you crying in the shower before work, and it shows the galaxy. I think it's all connected. And when people say the universe, call it God, call it love, call it whatever you want, but
Whatever.
there's something, and I don't think that we are that third grader that doesn't have the vocabulary to even describe what's happening on that 57th level of grade or whatever intellect. You know what
No,
I
I
mean?
mean,
That's
we're seeing less than I think a tenth of a percent of the light. You and I are just sitting here living life, worried about
yeah,
certain things, experiencing things, thinking we know what we're doing, evolving, etc. And we're not even getting 99% of reality.
totally,
And that's
totally.
not that's
I
not a
think that.
subconscious thing. It's not a subconscious thing. It's a legit, like, our five senses, and our subconscious can only take in so much, and it's less than 1%.
And it takes time to evolve to this world that we live now because,
Mm-hmm.
to your point on the friends that were, I know some veterans that and it's not because of competition or because they're poor sports. I mean, sports were created because it was like, we got to practice these war skills, right? And it's part of survival. Everything in sports is, from throwing a baseball and throwing a good pitch. Well, that was at one time used to kill an animal by throwing a rock at it, right? So we use sports. So for us, or in driving cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like your senses are heightened, and I've known friends in any type of pickup game or whatever, like they get like we're freaking in a trench warfare in World War I because that's where their senses go. And then you also know, we all know the nice elderly person when they're driving the car. You see some four-letter words come out of their mouth driving a car because for them, or for their overall being, they are in combat at that moment. So all the senses are heightened. So I can see that's logical to me. That makes sense. Because sometimes we just can't turn off that sense of urgency or that heightened sense of things, and trigger happens. And sometimes it could be sports or other things, or the dishwasher not being loaded correctly, and boom, here comes He-Man.
See, that type of stuff, that's a frequency. Your
Yes.
anger about simple stuff, your anger about being triggered very simply, or the extreme end with PTSD and actually being in combat, etc. That's a frequency.
Mm.
You shift that frequency to a better state, it is going to it's going to minimize it. It's going to help,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
don't have to do a thing.
Yeah.
Just live life.
Wow. And there's so many figures of speech that's got me thinking. You ever like bond with somebody and you really, you have those conversations and you
Mm-hmm.
just connect,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, man, that's Charley right there. We on the same frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting
Yeah.
to see like there's some literal truth to that shit.
And we all talk about it. Man, I love your vibe. I love your energy. I can just feel. I love it.
I'm vibing right now.
Eight
You literally are.
billion people are talking about quantum shit all the time, but it's in a religious construct. It's in a joking around construct. It's in the conditioning they believe from their parents because they love them, and their boss or a mentor or a friend told them this. And it's a lot of misinformation. It's a lot of very intelligent people not having the full story. Everyone knows what we're talking about at a different level with a different understanding, a different description. It's all quantum. That's why quantum computing is becoming such a big deal. That's why quantum computing can figure out something in 4 minutes that you would take a normal computer like a million years.
Mm,
So we just have to, we're starting to see it on 60 Minutes. We're starting to see it online, quantum tunneling, et cetera. That's the future. So if you want to ease yourself into the future in a way, or help with trauma, or help with clarity, or help with athletics, whatever, I personally don't know of anything better on the planet because there's no downside and you just live life.
mm. Yeah. And live to your full potential, to your full frequency.
It's going to give you the best chance of doing that. It's going to
Yeah.
increase your chances.
And no, I dig it. I dig it. And, like I said up front, we're not doctors, not lawyers, First Amendment, we have freedoms. Yep, you're welcome for your Constitution, everybody. So we're going to talk about things because if this could save a life, if this could enrich a life, I'm all about it. I'm all, and from what you've already described, it has. So to me, I'm all about learning about this, sharing this, because this could be the thing that makes a difference between somebody living and not being around. Or here's the other part of it. I retired from the armed services, and there's a big, we need to continue to do things and be involved. Like, I didn't retire. I repurposed my service. Like, service isn't just wearing a uniform. There's service doing this for free, no monetary cost. There's service in the volunteer stuff and different. And I'm not saying that to toot my horn, but what I've noticed is those who don't continue to tap into that frequency of service, this is what happens. A lot of us die from suicide. A lot of us die from cancer. Or there's another side where we turn into zombies, where we're not really living. We're either high or drunk all the time or just floating through like a feather in the wind, but we're like the Walking Dead. It's a live thing, but it's dead,
Hmm.
right? So to be able to tap into something that wouldn't make you a zombie, that obviously could tap you into making better decisions, living to your full potential, I just say, why not try something like that to be able to do? And again, I'm saying that from my standpoint because I know my perspective and I know my experience. So I'm not trying to speak for all veterans or everyone out there. But shit, if it works, why not try it? And closed mouths don't get fed, closed minds don't get fed, and really until we try something, we don't know if it works or not. So
Yeah,
and
there's
I
nothing to lose. And you could do with your wife or your husband. You could do with your kids. You could do a family thing. It works for 5-year-old, 10-year-old, 15,
yeah.
everybody.
I remember one time I did a PHA, one of those, they do the periodic health assessments. You have to do them like once every year. And I was talking about my mental stuff and, I'm in a much better place now and things that were options before. I hope to never think of them ever again. Right now I say I'll never think of them again, but suicide and different things. And I put down in there bad wiring. And the doc like replied to it. It was like, bad wiring. What, like, basically, what the fuck is that? Like, but maybe I wasn't that off in the sense of like we talk about like frequency and things of that nature, and maybe that was a subconscious Freudian slip or something
Yes.
because I feel like I was just at a bad frequency, and I understand radio waves. I was a radio operator, so I get that concept. So when you tie it to this and to quantum, I don't know. I'm just really smelling what you're stepping in. Yeah, I know. I'll keep beating a dead horse. Have you
No,
listened
no.
to my episodes?
Yeah, exactly. No, I will. I'll send you the link to do the two week trial. We'll put that in the show notes, like you said, and let
Yeah,
anyone try that. Like
yeah,
I'd love to see a shit ton of orders come in for that 2 week trial, just for people to test it. But the other thing is like I said, the people who see the results. That's why we created the couples and the family, because then all of a sudden you want your spouse and your kids on it, your
yeah,
grandparents, your brothers, your sisters. Why not?
yeah.
That's where things really start to compound when everyone in the house is on it.
So much comes to my mind, man, whether it's, the good uses of marijuana and THC, or whether it's like yoga, right? Remember,
Hmm.
even you talking about soccer, how much
Hmm.
we've evolved. I mean, I'm an 80s baby, so if you played soccer, you were like, ew, what's wrong with you? And
Hmm.
then one day we were like, Messi's the man, Beckham. I think
Exactly.
maybe Beckham changed it and it was like, okay, that's cool to do that now.
Yep.
But when you look at something like yoga, right? That was always like, you're either a hippie or what's wrong with you? Why are you
Hmm.
doing that? I'm speaking from my experience, right? And now it's like I'm over here yoga with Adrian on YouTube, and yoga is not just the spirit. It can be a spiritual thing, but it's just for overall wellness and musculoskeletal. So I can see where this can come to where somebody hears it right now and they go, "Get the fuck out of here! That's some witchcraft shit. That's some Ouija board shit."
Hmm.
And you're like, but in 20 years, being like, "Yeah, hey man, what's your frequency? You tapped in right now?"
Yeah, it won't. And to your point, the construct of time is dissolving so much right now. It's not going to take 20 years.
Goodness,
it's gonna
that's
be
so real.
it's gonna be quick. It's gonna be immediate. It's gonna be this year. It's gonna be next year. It's like I said, this 5 to 6 year window is basically thousands of years of evolution for 8 billion people, and that's why it's so intense.
Yeah. No, it really got my interest perked, man, and I'm definitely probably gonna sign up for it. And anybody else out there listening, nobody's pressuring you to do any damn thing. You make your own choices. Your free will's, double-edged sword. You do what you want to do. But I'm gonna try it. I say, why not just try a different thing, and maybe it, whether it's, I don't care what the thing is. If it's something that could potentially bring good, why not try it? But I also want to say, and please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's anything in this world or of this human flesh that will ever solve all of our problems ever. I don't think nothing ever has, nothing ever will. It's not in a pill. It's not, oh, I started doing yoga with Adrian. Everything's better now. No, like it's like an omelet of shit that you have to do to maintain wellness. And this may be something strong. It could be the fucking egg, could be the whole base of what's going on with you or me that could potentially propel us to our best, right? But I don't think we'll ever get to a point like, oh, I got tapped in and now I'm like limitless. I'm over here like Bradley Cooper in that movie and shit because I followed Charlie's guidance and clicked the link and here I am, right? Or am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. And one thing I want to remind myself too is, I'm excited for you to get on it for a different reason, for your content for comedy,
Well, I was thinking that already. I was like, if
because
I could be
because
better at that shit.
because it's going to give you clarity. There's
Mm,
probably a lot of jokes that are like basically like the Wi-Fi on the laptop, like they're just sitting there waiting, but you're not clear enough, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, boom, 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 and then you got a whole new set, and then it's for business, it's for comedy, it's for any person watching this, whatever your profession is, it will create a clarity for you to see things that are staring in your face, but you can't see
yeah. We've all been there. If you've lived a decade or two on this world,
them.
you've been humbled by, oh shit, it was right there the whole damn time,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Right there the whole damn time. And no, but there's also, we get so clogged and inundated with so much stuff these days. I mean, it's the same as if I write. Like if I'm gonna write, I author some books, nobody buys, nobody reads, but I tried, and maybe they'll help somebody out there. And I do this podcast, and I write comedy, and I practice. But before I sit down, I'm looking at every mess around me, and I'm like, I got to clean this, I got to do that, And there's other people that will say, well, then you want to set the scene for the muse to come and bless you, or whatever the case is. Teach their own on the thought process, but there is a cleansing, a cleaning, a clearing out to reach what I think you're describing as clarity, to be able to then create. And I don't know, to anyone out there, believers and things of that nature, if we are made in the image of the creator and all of that, well, a lot of us just consume nowadays. We don't create. And I think if we're to be creators, we should be something, whatever it is, create, make something. Because I think we're made for that, is to create. And definitely not havoc and stress, because that usually comes back around to bite you in the ass. Quick money, right?
Agreed. Amen.
Have you tried it?
Are you shitting me?
Okay, all right,
I got on it as soon as I could. I'm never coming off.
gotcha.
There's no way.
Lifer.
There's no way I'm coming off this. Because the other thing is we keep tweaking it. There's certain things we can clean the machine, we can add to the plate, we can use different materials, we can use a metal instead of a copper, we can do this, we can shift things, we can put crystals around it to amplify it. As all these things that sound so crazy and so, like, I'm sure everyone watching has one of those weird stores in their city that's got crystals in it. You're like, that fucking lady's nuts. As things clear up on this planet, you're going to realize how much power you had at your fingertips that you chose to think was crazy. So there's certain things. My partner loves this stuff. He's so curious. He's so introverted, but he's always finding ways to increase the potency of the remedy, increase the ability of the person getting the clarity. So it's just going to always get better. And especially me and my partner continue to get clear, we're going to be able to access ways to make it better that we just didn't have access to. Consciousness shifts, all that stuff. I would never come off this.
And we don't know what we don't know. So here we are to learn and figure out and evolve. But I want to ask too, for you with being with it and being on it. And obviously, I want to say, since we got on this call, since we got on this session, there is a calmness to you. There is like a positive aura that I'm not saying other people don't possess it. I'm just saying to the screen, not to kiss your ass or any of that kind of stuff or pander, but I could feel it. Like, when I'm stammering or I'm like, trying to find a word and I'm looking around, I haven't seen you do something like that yet. Do you think that's a result of that, or have you just always been like this cool ass, like just Jedi?
When I was a kid, I was a very shy kid. I never spoke. I built a lot of that because of business. I built a lot of that because of pay it forward and doing talks and everything else. But the machine has made it so there is access to everything I need to say at all times. It has nothing to do with me. That it's like I said, the laptop. You bring up any topic, there's going to be something that's just sitting right here. Is whatever direction you go off, my awareness can go off there and just pull. Right, we're not creating anything. We're discovering, we're remembering because creation's done.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we're just finding out about new technologies that have always been there. And when it comes to individuals that test this out, you're just cracking things open in a good way so that you can access more information that will make whatever you're doing better. Better parent, better employee, better business owner, better athlete, better whatever, mechanic, whatever.
Yeah. No, I dig it. I dig it. I think if anybody's out there trying to help people be better, then you're doing a good service.
Hmm.
I just believe that whatever the thing may be. I was talking to a group
Whatever
of
it is.
kids last week, and I was telling them about it was a lot of veteran talk, and they were like, "Your hero," and I'm like, "Maybe, okay, thank you, but you don't have to be a Marine to be a hero. You don't have to be Wonder Woman to be a superhero. You could be a teacher.
Hmm.
You could be bringing something forward, a technology, or you could be a construction worker and building a bridge. And that is a hero because it's bigger than you. I just think it's that if we're in service to something bigger than us, then that's a hero. So I appreciate the work y'all are doing, the courage to do it, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who probably give you a lot of shit, or, you had all that credibility with Pay It Forward and now
Hmm.
you're doing what? What are you
Yep.
doing now, Charlie?
Yep.
How's that been for you to contend with that?
No problems. No, because again, when you come across, as you just said a couple minutes ago, there's no doubt in my mind, so that comes across the way it does. If I came across doubtful, like, "Oh, do you want to try this?" or "I don't even believe in it," there'd be like, What are you talking about?" No, it's all energy, it's all frequency. So I know it works. I know how consciousness works. I know how quantum mechanics works. I know what the machine does. I've seen it time and time again with hundreds of people. So when I simply say you got to test this out, also on the machine, you gain access to great metaphors.
Hmm.
So if I'm talking to a religious person, I'll talk about it a different way. A spiritual person, different way. A scientist, a physicist, someone who's completely ignorant to it, someone who's terrified of it. There's different ways to approach it, but it's all coming back to the same point.
Yeah. No, I dig it. And you got to speak the language of the people. That's
Hmm.
just called, because to your point earlier, and I've said this many times before, but people who do work in prevention, people that are trying to help people, it's not a lack of effort and it's
No.
not a lack of good intentions, but what I really think where the friction hits the road, and we need to really think about where the rubber hits the road, is how effective. How effective.
Hmm.
And we just can't keep, 50 Cent said it, switch your style up. And if they hate, then let them hate and watch the money. You're right.
Hmm.
You have to switch it up sometimes and change shit up and be willing to evolve and change. Not your morals, not your ethics, none of that shit. Nobody's saying go be evil or anything, but be willing to try to be more effective. And there's a lot of
100%.
good intentions, and a lot of effort, but are we
Well,
effective? I say I hope, but I also know that a lot of these bad numbers are rising in the wrong direction.
to what you just said is perfect too. This is not just for the people who are struggling. It's for the people who are helping them. Put the therapist on it. Put the people who are working at the VA to help the vets. Put them on it. Give them access to more clarity, more access to different information, more access to what you just said, that maybe what works for one doesn't work for another, but they are constructed or conditioned to that way. Maybe this opens them up to being able to help two people instead of one. So that's the other thing. If you're a therapist and you can let your ego go enough, wow, that's a jet just flying over.
Yeah.
If you're a therapist and you realize this isn't a threat, if you're helping veterans, if you're helping at suicide prevention, like you're going to, if it takes you as a therapist, it takes you a month to have a breakthrough. If you put your patients on this, it'll probably take you 2 weeks.
Mm.
You want to double your impact, double your revenue, double what you can do? This is not a replacement. This is not a medical device. This is not a cure. This is something that's going to give you the clarity so that you can find a better cure, so that you can absorb what the VA is helping you with, what the therapist is helping you with, what the coach is helping you with. If I was a coach or a consultant or a CEO or a therapist or working at the VA or a coach for a sports team, I would put everyone on my team who I work with, my patients on. It will decrease the time needed for them to have a breakthrough, for them to understand what you need to teach them for a new formation on the soccer pitch. You give me any example, it's going to give you clarity. You're going to be able to see things differently. So don't look at it as a threat. It's not going to replace anything. It's going to increase. If you're super
Hmm.
capitalistic, it's going to increase revenue. It's going to increase profit. It's going to increase your employee morale and
Yeah.
retention.
Yeah. I think
Guaranteed.
I mean it's just enhancing. I mean it's enhancing. It's what we've done with caffeine. It's what
Hmm.
we've done with
Yeah.
some other pharmaceuticals that help someone. I mean that's essentially what SSRIs are doing. Is
Hmm.
that you're tapping into an optimal frequency or an optimal level
Hmm.
of more good, less bad, or whatever the case may be. I'm not a doctor, but I know some, and I've taken a lot of medications, and some work for me. But it seems like some people Tylenol works for them, but aspirin works for somebody else.
Hmm.
Aspirin don't do nothing for me, right? But for somebody else, that's what they do. I take a leaf, whatever the thing may be. It just everyone's a little different and unique, but it's
Well,
fascinating, man. It really is. Go ahead.
to your point about SSRIs, and we're talking about taking something physical. This machine, this service does not do anything physical. It's not tweaking. It's not shutting anything off. It's not stopping anything. It's just giving you clarity.
Mm,
It's interacting with your mental and emotional and informational state. It's not, it's not messing with your brain. It's nothing physical. Now we know that everything that manifests physically started where? Mentally and emotionally. So there are a lot of instances where someone will physically heal, but we will never talk about that. We will never claim that. But this, like you're bringing up SRSRIs, it does not. There's nothing intrusive about what this frequency in this machine does. Nothing. So just so people don't get fearful about that.
there's it's proven, stress kills.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of what we lack is clarity. So if you can provide more clarity and lower stress levels,
Exactly.
which stress is good in some cases if there's recovery, but sometimes it's just stress, 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 and then there's burnout or high blood pressure
Mm-hmm.
or stroke, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Yep.
And if clarity could have been thrown into that mix of the day to day, those brick by bricks, like I got the bricks behind me on purpose, that wall in the end may be built a whole lot better if those daily bricks are added up in a more efficient and effective manner. So I dig it. Just for anybody else out there with big words, when you say consciousness, what do you mean?
It's fundamental to our reality. For anyone to think that the brain or the physical body creates consciousness is like going into your car, turning on the radio and thinking the band's in your car. And I know there's some intelligent people that still believe that. Most of the people who believe that is to keep people from understanding what consciousness really is for good reason. It's fundamental. There's millions, if not tens of millions, of out of body, near death experiences. They all say the same thing. They can all tell you what's going on in the room. They can all tell you what someone said. Consciousness is awareness. So if consciousness shut off when you died, you wouldn't be able to tell us shit. But it happens time and time and time again. It is and I'm not really trying to upset anyone, but it is complete ignorance to believe that consciousness is not fundamental to our reality. It is everything.
Makes sense
Everything.
to me.
Everything. Physical, non-physical, mental, emotional. Everything is consciousness. And again, the great thing we've got going for us is science and the consciousness shifting on this planet so that we can see it and experience it firsthand. There doesn't need to be a debate anymore. It doesn't need to be fundamental to reality or that the brain creates. It doesn't need to be Republican or Democrat. What is coming to us very quickly? It's going to remove the sides. So we won't need to have that question of what consciousness is.
I think it's good, and I think the well-intended or in touch people that really, whether it's faith side or just living to full potential, there is a level of emphasis on tapping into consciousness
Hmm.
on all of that, to
Absolutely.
really, that's why, people go to church in one small building. And, I'm thinking more of a Catholic side where but there's also temples of all types, but
Mhm.
to where you are focused in on that your deity, whatever you're worshiping,
Mhm.
you're focusing on each other, you're focused on a community. There's a reason for that, is to raise your consciousness and awareness of the moment of that thing that when you get out inside the world, everything is, as you described behind you earlier, it's blurry and you're over inundated. So, and there's, we say unconscious. Well, I don't think you have to be knocked out to be unconscious. A lot of us are walking around as zombies every day. And I think
Beautifully
I've
put.
definitely been guilty on that, on being in the rat race or that hamster wheel, or I'll be happy when fill in the blank. Like, you're messing up consciousness right there because you're not present. You're not aware of what's really going on right in front of you. And there's a reason why people in car accidents say, "Oh, I just didn't see him." They literally are not lying. They didn't see him because
Exactly.
our eyes only pick up tiny little, squares at a time. It can't see all of it at the same time, but to tap into that awareness or more of it, that tracks to me. That tracks.
Yeah, and it tracks to most everyone. It's just that if it's not described in the way they were conditioned, they're going to think that we're going against them. We're not. There are 1,000 different words for God, and
Yes, there are.
every single person thinks their word is the right one. God,
Yeah.
source, universe, Allah, whatever. And if you don't use that specific word, you're wrong. But it's all coming from the same source.
Yeah, it's love. It's love, it's connectedness. It's something we can't even really explain fully. It's just whether or not
No,
you
we're
have
not even
faith in it.
close. Yep.
Yeah, I don't
Mhm.
think. To me, how I look at that and the subject of God, Allah, Jah, whatever we want to say, Yahweh, et cetera, fill in the blank on the name. I think it's centered in love and connectedness. And I also feel that for us to truly understand, it's like our dogs, even though they're with us every day and we love them. And some of them even pick up our own. I mean, there's studies now to show that they can pick up Alzheimer's like we have it, and et cetera, et cetera. But they understand when I'm sad. They can feel me. They can commands, come here, pet, rub belly, all that. But if I'm really like having a hard time with a math problem, there is no damn way that dog's going to ever understand what I'm saying about my
Yep.
pre-algebra that Cam still hasn't passed.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, it's just not there. You're not on the same wavelength. You're
Exactly.
definitely not on the same frequency. So I think that is,
It's the way to look
to
at it.
me, that's what humbles me with whatever it is. Right. But, you know, there's just too many things that occur that I'm just like, that's not coincidence. That's just that God, whatever, remaining anonymous.
Hmm.
Shout out my man Karan for that quote. To tap into more of that and more of each other, well, why not? Why not? I think that. How do you feel about this? This is off the cuff, just a thought. But like with there's a big uptick. Whereas before we'd be like, you're going where to do what with a what? Like the ayahuasca trips, are they not tapping into some form of a frequency when they do that?
100%. And they just passed that huge bill. They're going to start doing ibogaine and everything. That does very magical stuff. That does incredible things for a lot of people. Again, this won't replace it, but you got to remember what they're doing with psychedelics is an experience. They go, they have a breakthrough, they have to come back down to where they were. They have to integrate it. They have expanded their mind, expanded their consciousness, but integration is the biggest key, and that's where we failed for the last couple of decades. This machine is permanent. If I had a facility, if I had a wellness facility for ibogaine or ayahuasca or psilocybin or bufo or anything, if I had a dozen people coming and I knew they were coming for a month, I would put them on this, get them as clear as possible. So when they did that ceremony, they would get a better
They got
experience.
the most out of it.
They
Yeah.
would get the most out of it and they would be able to integrate it. And then I would keep them on it afterwards because the big work comes after they have that massive, massive experience. And I'm glad they passed that. I'm glad people have
I am too.
access to psychedelics and everything else.
I am too.
But all I'm saying is we could do that and have 24/7 support for the full year while just living life. Why
Yeah.
not?
Why? Yeah, why not? Because I mean, I've said this many times in military service or in anything else. Like, we earn the title or we do the thing, but the hard part is the sustainment.
Hmm.
That's the hardest part with. I mean, and it's just a rule of nature, like consistency and
Hmm.
all of these things. But to sustain, like to transform, cool. But how do we sustain that so you don't regress or you don't degrade your transformation? And that happens too often. Idle, complacent, whatever you want to say, but how do we sustain things? So I can see where the quantum could complement someone's experience to
You
retain it.
you brought up a great point. which reminds me of the example. New Year's resolutions. 95% of people lose them after February, right?
That's right.
New Year's, new time, drinking, friends, you feel good, restart. You created that New Year's resolution at a certain frequency. You
Mm.
were in a higher, you were willing yourself because you were in a good mood.
Hmm.
But then life comes back down for that month. The frequency you created that New Year's resolution at is still there. So come February, come March, it's not going to last. So this sustains that. This actually creates a higher frequency permanently, which means when you permanently change the radio channel and don't touch it, you destroy the old frequency. I'm glad you brought that up because that's a perfect thing I should have talked about a long time ago. You do a New Year's resolution, in a sense, just for an example, you do a New Year's
Yeah.
resolution on the machine, you will keep with that. You have a dramatically higher increase chance of keeping that New Year's resolution because you're creating at a higher frequency of a higher vibration. The sustaining you're talking about, this will help people sustain no matter what they're doing.
Now, for them to do that, just so we all understand, because I'm hearing a few naysayers in my head go, well, then why would I do it on a regular basis if I'm good forever?
If you're good forever?
Like if I'm good, like
No.
I know I'll be better, but like to stay dialed in a sense.
So
Or is
the human side of me was like, oh man, my partner's name is Jay. And I was like, so this is permanent, huh? So we kind of shooting ourselves in the foot. He's like, no. Once they see the results, when you go from 4th to 5th grade, do you want to stay in 5th grade?
no?
No, you want to go to 6th grade, man. You want to get to junior high. You want to get to high school. You want to get to drive in a car. You want to get to be able to rent a car. You want to get insurance. You want to get married. It's constant evolution.
Yeah.
So
So we're tapping into more potential.
it's adapting with you. You're adapting, you're growing. Why wouldn't you have that support? Because it just helped you be a better 10-year-old. Why would you want to be a better 11-year-old? So it's just
Gotcha.
constantly adapted. And again, the lifetime subscription option we have on our website, we didn't create that. Our customers asked us when we were talking
Ask
to
for
them.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they asked for it. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. Once you start seeing the results,
Yeah. Why
you
stop?
dial it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. I really appreciate, what y'all are doing with having, whatever you want to call it, an alternative form of medicine, wellness, whatever. But anything I think that helps people extract their full potential in a conscious way,
Mhm.
right? Because, yeah, I could do some coke right now and I will be fucking doing some shit. But I can't maintain that, right?
Mhm.
Hashtag the 70s, right? And the 80s. But,
Uh-huh.
it'll wear off. And then now there's the brain craves the equilibrium and
Mhm.
now there's the hangover and et cetera, the homeostasis, I should have said, and hence addiction and the pain. But to help people reach their full potential in a ethical way, their full potential, not Charley's full potential, not Cam's, not fill in the blank said, whatever prophet or messiah we're trying to pick this week or whatever, because we always want somebody else to fix it.
Mhm.
Ourselves, I think that's amazing, man, and I think it's good, and the effects that it can have. And if Jim Carrey said it, the effects you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Y'all gonna be pretty rich, maybe not in a monetary sense, but in the currency that matters, and that's having a good effect.
Agreed.
I just say thank you, boss.
Yeah.
And
Well, thank you
I
for
would
getting us
definitely
out.
try. I would like to sign up personally, and then us do another episode just to reflect, if you're down for that, just to kind of, help show and explain. Like, yeah, man, when we dialed in that day, I was like, but this has helped me in these ways or whatever like that. Because I'll be a guinea pig or whatever the case may be. But if at the end of the day, it can help me be better for others, or even what I'm doing here, if this could make me more effective, why not? Why not? And you're not high in doing it. That's the big thing, right? Because I got to keep alcohol out of my mouth. I got to keep all the substances away because I just like them shits too much. Let's put it like that, right? To an unhealthy degree. But this is taking it's natural. It's all around us. These energies, these
As natural as it gets, man.
yeah. So I could see this being a new enlightenment period.
Yes, agreed.
Where these nice young ladies that were attractive in the 16 and 1700s were burned at the stake and murdered. They didn't do anything wrong, but that kept, a potential pervert from getting caught to just be like, "There's a witch, she was a devil."
Exactly.
I could see how these things and, Age of Disclosure, that's a good fucking show, and so many other things that are becoming just right front and center in front of our face. We're like, oh shit, that's why. And to me, it doesn't make me not less trusting. It makes me have more faith in us as a whole because we're trending in a better direction. But there'll be some shit on the fan in the process. So
Agreed, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you for having
I
me on.
No, thank you, man. And I probably made this episode too long because you were literally talking to that child when we started.
Mhm.
So I had to ask all the questions. I'm sure listeners are going, yeah, but what the fuck?
That's what
But
we need. That's exactly
yeah,
why I like these platforms, so I appreciate it.
yeah, long form communication. We couldn't do a 5-minute fucking post on this shit and be
Well,
like, what the fuck?
and that's why we can't advertise. We can't go do a Instagram reel or a Facebook ad. There's no way we could get this information across. So we have to do platforms like this, and then we get veterans who have bigger communities. We have companies. We have athletes that have communities. We're really looking for people to see it firsthand. And then if they have access to a bigger community, then they take it to the community, and we'll always cut them in.
Yeah. Hey, hey, like I said, man, if it can have a good effect on people and humanity, why not fucking try it? That's how we got sliced bread and photographs to begin with. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? It was like, fuck it, let's try it.
Mhm.
Imagine that first dude who sliced bread. They're like, what the fuck are you doing, Paul? And he was like, nah, Dick in the sauna, he told me start slicing his bread because he's just been time traveling this whole time. Anyway.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Thank you, Charley. Is there any save rounds with anything you'd like to share with anybody? Because I'm going to ask you my last question. But before I get there, is there any plugs or anything? And I'll get the information from you.
Yeah, we'll just get the information. mentalwellnesslab.com. That's it.
mentalwellnesslabs.com. All right, my last question. Last question I ask everyone. If someone were out there and they were in your sphere of influence and they came to you and they were suicidal, obviously we'll seek help. But if you could say something to them prior to them making that ultimate decision, what would you say to them if you have an opportunity?
I don't know if I'd say much. I'd listen.
There you go.
And I would allow them to make the choice. I had someone in my life do that. They literally said, that's what you choose to do. That sucks, but if you choose to do it, I understand. And it took the edge off. I think too many times when someone comes to you in that dark of a place and you try to build them up, they're not going to listen. And if you try to stop them, they know it's selfish. You don't feel their pain. I would try to stop them. I know that's probably not the best answer, and I don't know if that's probably said too much on this show, but I would listen and tell them I understand. Kind of take the edge off.
But that worked for you. That kept you around.
It worked for me because I was like blown away. I was waiting for someone to be like, "Oh, you don't do this, don't do this." And there's like,
let's strap you up with a straight jacket.
Yeah, they're like, if you choose to do that, that sucks, but I'll understand. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. That probably broke your consciousness at the moment or brought you back to it.
Snapped it right back in. I was like, oh, Christ, I guess it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, no, that's another thing to think about or to appreciate. And I try to inform everyone of this. And it's no diss on anybody's cognitive ability or intelligence, but when we are at that point where that seems like a good option, we're not at our best.
No.
We're not, it's almost like being very intoxicated. And the majority of people are intoxicated off something when they do such a thing. So like our prefrontal cortex, our ability to make rational decisions is not there. We fell into this to where this sounds like a good option, which defies all the things. So it's not to say somebody is like not smart. It's just we're not thinking at our best. Because that is an option floating around in our head. So to do anything to grounds or to have that moment where you just said, damn, shit. Oh, I'd say, and that's why I ask everyone their own individual take on this, because these things are so nuanced, like our fingerprints, like those QR codes, nature, God, whatever we want to say, gave us, that what works for some may not work for all, and we all have a different perspective on it. So I'm not editing that out. I think that's, I heard one gentleman said, wait. That's all he said. He said, I'll listen and tell him wait. I was like, damn, like if you want to do that, but just wait. And I was like, I saw how effective that could be, right? The time and space, and maybe you get into a different mind state. So, yeah, I want to make sure I clear it up. I'm not dissing anyone who is suicidal. I'd be dissing myself at certain times in my life.
Me too.
But what I am saying, and I know, I was at a different frequency then, and I was definitely not at the best of my cognitive ability when that seemed like a good decision. And in my case, alcohol was definitely a factor. So,
yeah, I'm with you. I agree.
Yeah. Well, I'm confident this episode is going to help somebody, and I just thank you for what you, your partner, and Mental Wellness Labs is doing, and having the courage to do something different, but to stand behind it and know that it could do good for people. I mean, what Margaret Mead say? Don't ever underestimate the small group of people that's the only thing that ever did. We know the quote. Exactly. I'm fucking it up really bad, but you know what I'm saying. All right, man. I thank you again, and to everyone out there listening, we are sponsored by eBay, but we are inspired by the First Amendment. That's how we got on here. Charley, thank you again, man.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the 82nd episode of the Real Resilience Talk podcast. Take care of each other, make good choices, and try to live to your full potential. Much love.